Hello, everyone. This is Tamir Moore checking in with you from Lubin Field here in Seattle, Washington, as Fox Sports welcome you to this NFC Wild Card Game. This afternoon, we have our second of three games in this Super Wild Card Saturday across the league. This is the third meeting of the season between the two longtime NFC West rivals, and the 10-6 Los Angeles Rams are in town to play the 12-4 Seattle Seahawks. The Rams finished the regular season with a 10-6 record, the number 6 seed in the NFC, being the second wild card of three with the expanded playoff from 12 to 14 teams this year. Last week against Arizona, they won 18-7. The Rams were able to get their 10th win of the regular season without starting quarterback Jared Goff, who was out with injured thumb. Starting running back Darrell Henderson was out with a bad ankle, and also top wide receiver Cooper Kupp, who had to miss the game because of COVID, right? He was one on the COVID list. The Rams' pass defense is stellar, right? They are the number one pass defense in the National Football League. Everyone understands that. And the Rams have had to have a good defense this year because the offense is very consistent, kind of shaky. But the defense, you can definitely count on them to give you some big plays like they have done throughout the balance of the season. The pass rush has also been very good. 53 sacks, second in the league. More than 100 quarterback hit, which puts them in the top 10. Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd, the two defensive stalwart this year for the Rams, 23.5 sacks between them. Donald with 13.5, Floyd with 10.5. Donald with 45 tackles, 55 from Leonard, so 100 combined tackles, and 5 forced fumbles between the two. Donald with 4, and also Leonard Floyd has a forced fumble as well. 5 of Floyd's 10.5 sacks this year came against Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson. And for the Rams offense, though, they have to do a much better job protecting Jared Goff up front. In a 2 Seahawks Rams meeting during the regular season, the Rams offense allowed 6 Seattle sacks, 3 in each meeting. Jared Goff had a pretty good first meeting against Seattle, 27 out of 37 for 302 yards and a quarterback rating of 96.1. In the second meeting, though, the Seahawks got pressure on Jared Goff. Jared Goff looked very uncomfortable, and the number one pick from 2016 at a 22 for 34 day for 234 yards, interception, and a 61.6 quarterback rating in Week 16, where the two teams met in Seattle the last time the two teams played. That's also the same game was Goff suffered the thumb injury that kept him out of the Cardinal game last week. Cooper Kupp, their top wide receiver, had 92 receptions this year for 974 yards and 3 touchdowns, and wide receiver Robert Woods, who they call Bobby Trees, 90 receptions for 936 yards and 6 touchdowns. And finally, one more note for the Rams. The Russ offense, though, is pretty okay, right? 4th for feet, yards per carry, 14th in the league. They average 126 yards per game with the 10th in the NFL. Meanwhile, the Seahawks come in with a 12-4 regular season record. Last week against San Francisco and Arizona, because San Francisco had to relocate because of COVID restrictions in Santa Clara, where the 49ers play regularly. They had a 26-23 win Seattle at San Francisco. They had a flurry of activity in the fourth quarter. Russell Wilson, you look at the two meetings this year against Los Angeles. Week 10, the 23-16 Rams win. Russell Wilson was knocked off this game. The Rams were able to fluster him a little bit, and Russell Wilson did have 248 yards, but he did throw 2 picks, quarterback rating 57, not Russell Wilson-esque, right? But in the second meeting, though, Wilson was able to get better. He was able to learn. He was able to match up better with the Rams defensive schemes and coverages. In Russell Wilson in Week 16 at home against Los Angeles, 225 yards to touchdown and a rating of 93.9. Russell Wilson had a great season this year. The Seattle quarterback had 40 touchdowns for the ninth-year player out of Wisconsin, 40 touchdowns for the first time in his career, 13 interceptions and a rating of 105.1. He had the highest completion percentage in his NFL career this year as well. Seattle, two-headed monster at wide receiver, at wideout. We know it, right? Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf. For Tyler, 6-year man at Kansas State, 100 receptions, more than 1,000 yards, 1,054, 10 touchdowns. Also 10 touchdowns this year for DK Metcalf, who coming along nicely. The second-year play out of Ole Miss. He had 83 receptions, 303 yards. So 2,300 yard plus between Metcalf and Lockett. But DK Metcalf did struggle, though, toward the end of the season. In his last 4 or 5 games, he only had 65 receiving yards. So we're going to need Metcalf to step it up like Metcalf did earlier in the season. And, of course, in this matchup, DK Metcalf will once again be matched up against Rams quarterback Jalen Ramsey, which was the case in the 2 regular season meetings between these two teams. And against the Rams this year. Metcalf was held to only 8 receptions for 87 yards in the 2 matchups. So Jalen Ramsey played really well against DK. They had mutual respect for each other, and they'll match up one more time in this game today. And you look at Seattle, though, their offensive line has been a problematic thing for them this year. 11 combined sacks they allowed to the Rams in the 2 combined meetings. 48 sacks Seattle's allowed this season, so they're definitely going to make sure, that Russell Wilson is clean, has a clean pocket, pass rush, 46 sack on an 8 quarterback hit, so Seattle does well there. But the biggest all-season acquisition for Seattle was Jamal Adams coming over from the New York Jets, the strong safety, 4th-year player out of LSU, who Seattle gave up 2 first-round picks to get. Jamal Adams has been a godsend. He's been a good addition to this team. The passion, the energy that he plays with has been something that Pete Carroll has been looking for, right? Jamal Adams is a bulldog. Jamal Adams is very vocal. Jamal Adams is a guy you want to be around. Jamal is a pretty nice dude. Everyone loves him. And Jamal Adams, he's doing a lot better here as far as playing with a better team than he did with the New York Jets. And Jamal Adams this season, 83 tackles, 9.5 sacks, and a 4 fumble. Albeit Jamal did have to leave San Francisco's game, the game last week, I should say, against San Francisco because of a shoulder injury. But Jamal Adams has said throughout the week he's ready to go. But we'll see what Jamal Adams' health will be. We'll see what Jared Goff's health is going to be. A couple more notes here on Seattle. Pass defense, though, has been pretty awful, albeit their rating has gone up throughout the course of the season. Earlier in the year, Seattle gave up 350 yards easily, right? But they're under 300 yards now, so clearly bringing in Carlos Dunlap, what they did mid-year from Cincinnati, has helped them. And one last note on Seattle. Rush defense, though, has been pretty solid, less than 4 yards per carry, and allowed less than 100 yards per game. So clearly, if you're the Seattle Seahawks, your key to victory is making sure that Russell Wilson has a clean pocket. You know Russell Wilson is going to have a pretty good day. And Seattle, as long as Metcalf and Lockett show up, I think Seattle will be all right. For the Rams, though, defense has to show up again because clearly the Rams defense has been pretty good all season long. It's going to be pretty important that the Rams are able to continue that pace here in this one because Seattle, though, they like to run up the score. The Rams struggle scoring, but their defense is able to plug up some holes, and we'll see who comes out on top. Can the Seahawks get their 2nd straight win against the Rams, with the Week 16 being the first meeting that Seattle came on top of this season, or can the Rams get a huge playoff win? Remember, the winner moves on to the losing round next week. The loser season is over. It's the Rams and the Seahawks today at 4:40 p.m. Eastern right here on Fox.